Today's Palm Sunday, the day we remember Jesus' entry into Jerusalem at the start of Passover week. Crowds were gathering for the Passover. In an age when there wasn't any mobile phones or internet or social media, nonetheless a very large crowd gathered. The word got round. Jesus, the all-knowing Son of God, sent his disciples to get a donkey and a colt from a man with the instructions, if any questions are asked, tell them the Lord needs them. And so Jesus entered Jerusalem, riding on a donkey, to fulfill the prophecy of Zechariah, which was given so many hundreds of years ago before the event. Tell the people of Jerusalem, see, your king is coming to you. He is humble, riding on a donkey. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks in front of Jesus. Others cut branches from the palm trees and spread them. That's where we get the title Palm Sunday. Jesus entered Jerusalem amidst much celebration. Jesus was the centre of the crowd, and the crowds were shouting. What were they shouting? Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Now this word Hosanna is very significant. It means save or save us. When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city, we read, was stirred. And there was someone asked this question, who is this? And others in the crowd replied, this is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee. So the ones who didn't know told the ones who did know. That's probably a lesson for us. It must have been a great sight. It must have been a tremendous experience, very exhilarating. All these crowds were shouting Hosanna and praising Jesus. Some refer to it as a triumphal entry. But Luke tells us that as Jesus came down the road down the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd began to joyfully shout to God in loud voices. Why were they shouting? Luke tells us because of all the miracles that they'd seen. Again, we read these words, blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. But some Pharisees were not very happy about this, so they told Jesus to rebuke his disciples, tell them off, tell them to stop shouting and singing his praises. To which Jesus replied, I tell you, if they don't shout, if they keep quiet, even the stones will shout out. But then we read a completely contrasting picture. As Jesus looked over Jerusalem, he wept. Why did he weep? Well, this is what Luke tells us in his gospel about that particular event. As he approached Jerusalem and saw the city, he wept over it and said, if you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you and encircle you and hem you in on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and the children within your walls. They will not leave one stone on another because you did not recognize the time of God's coming to you. The Jewish historian Josephus refers to that event which took place in AD 70. He describes the horrific suffering of the inhabitants of Jerusalem during this Roman siege, in which they did not leave a single stone in place, which fulfills exactly what Jesus had said that would happen. So Jesus' triumph wasn't one of victory over the Romans, the Roman army of occupation. It was something completely different. It was victory over sin and death, but that wouldn't be fulfilled until later in the week. Jesus then enters the temple courts, where he finds the traders, some selling animals, others exchanging money. Jesus enters the temple, seeing these traders, he drives them out. Why were the people selling? What were they selling? They were selling animals for sacrifice. The pilgrims who came to Jerusalem, of course, didn't bring those animals with them for sacrifice. They had to buy them. Where did they buy them? In the temple courts. Jesus was not happy about this. Also, there were these money changers who were changing the pilgrims' currency, for which they brought in for the temple currency in order to pay the temple tax. And so Jesus drives them out. So he enters Jerusalem as Messiah and then carries out these messianic acts. He drives out the people from the temple because of their commercial activities. And this really fulfills two prophecies. He uses words of two Old Testament prophets. Firstly, Isaiah, who wrote, "It is written that my house will be a house of prayer." And then Jeremiah, who says, "You have made it a den of thieves." As the week progresses, we read in Luke's Gospel that every day Jesus was within the temple courts teaching. This didn't go down well with the chief priests and the rulers of the law. We read the chief priests and the teachers and the leaders of the people were trying to find ways to kill Jesus, but they couldn't do this because the crowd was hanging on every word that Jesus spoke. But of course we know that as the week progressed, then they did find a way which would change the course of history. But whilst the scribes and Pharisees sought a way to kill Jesus, the reality was that Jesus offered his life voluntarily in order to save us. An act of great sacrifice which was only possible because of Jesus' obedience, but was necessary in order to save us from our sin, to save the world from their sin. As John wrote in his Gospel, God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believed in him might not perish, but have everlasting life.